Good afternoon, Namaskar. I, Kriti Vadhera, would like to welcome all the teachers, learners, educators, students to CIET NCERT's live phone-in program. And you are watching us live on PM eVidya's channel number 11. This session will be for Standard 11th Economics students, and the topic which we will be taking in next 1 hour for you is going to be production and cost of your textbook. And the expert who is joining us today for this particular session, I would like to introduce Mrs. Seema Bharti Mishra. She's from Lakshman Public School, Hoskas. We welcome you, Mrs. Mishra, for this session today.
Thank you. Good afternoon, viewers.
And before we start with this session, viewers, I would like to remind you here that if you have any questions, any queries, then please do let us know. You can dial on our toll-free numbers. Number would be 8800440559. If you wish to watch the live streaming of this program, then you may kindly log into our official YouTube channel by the name of NCERT Official, and there also in the live chat box you may send all your suggestions and questions to us. Certainly we will be taking up all of them, and we will be having a discussion with our expert on the same. One more medium to contact us would be you can mail all your suggestions and questions to dth.class11@ciet.nic.in. So let's begin the economics session on production and cost today. I welcome you again, Mrs. Mishra. So what this chapter is all about, what our viewers will be learning from you today?
Today we are going to discuss about production and cost. This is regarding producer behavior and supply, and a very important aspect of microeconomic theory. Production being the base. Production is what brings anything into the market. So production is a very important stage of any statistical development. So we are going to take production and cost today and studying it purely from the point of view of producer or seller or a firm, as we call them.
I guess you may proceed. Our viewers must be eagerly waiting for you to start with this chapter.
Yes. Okay. So viewers, we are going to start with production and cost, which is a part of producer behavior and supply aspect. And production, we begin with the concept of production. What is production? You know, production is transformation of input into output. When a producer produces something, he's transforming some inputs into outputs. And how does he do it? With the help of technology. So transformation of input into output with the use of technology is production. I've given you a picture here of sugar cane being converted into sugar. So with the use of technology, sugar cane is converted into output, which is sugar. So sugar is the output, sugar cane is the input. Sugar cane is not the only input. We'll be using machines there, we'll be using labors there, so many inputs, but this is just an example. Whenever a producer produces something, he adds to the utility of the product. Sugar cane may not be as useful, but if it is converted into sugar, it becomes more useful. Similarly, leather may not be that useful, but once it is converted into shoes, bags, it becomes more useful. So whenever a producer produces a commodity, he is adding to the utility of the product. So transformation of input into output in such a way that it adds to the utility of the commodity is what production is. Now, production, when a producer produces a commodity, he has to employ various factors of production like land, labor, he has to buy raw material. So he has to incur cost of production. What is cost of production? All the expenditure made by the firm or by the seller on all kinds of input, be it land, be it labor, be it raw material, be it machines that he is purchasing, all the expenditure made by the firm on buying or hiring these services, factor services or factor inputs and non-factor inputs is the cost of production. In common English, when we say cost, we mean price, but not in economics. Here, cost of production is the expenditure incurred by the firm, not the price paid by the consumers. When we buy a commodity in the market, we are consumers, we buy it at a particular price. Price is different. Cost of production is the expenditure which the producer makes for hiring factor inputs and purchasing non-factor inputs. As we go further in this class, you will know what factor inputs are and what non-factor inputs are. So basically, all the expenditure that a producer is making for producing a commodity comes under cost of production. Then we have revenue, concept of revenue. Now, what is revenue? Revenue is the total receipt from the sale of output. When a producer produces a commodity, he's doing so to sell it in the market. When he sells it in the market, he gets some amount of money. That is the receipt, sale receipts. That is what revenue is. No producer produces just to keep it in their factory. They produce it to sell it. So when they sell it in the market, they get a revenue. And producer is producing with the motive to earn profit. What is profit? The difference between revenue and cost. The total revenue earned by the firm minus the cost incurred by the firm is its profit. For example, in producing a pen, I had to make an expenditure of 15 rupees and I sell that pen for 20 rupees. So the revenue earned from selling that pen is 20. The cost of production is 15. So the profit would be 5. The producer produces with a motive to earn profit. So profit is an important aspect of the chapter on production, and which you will see later. So these are the basic concepts we covered. What is production? What is cost of production? What is revenue? And what is profits? We now move to production in greater detail because that's the focus of today's class. Our production takes place with the help of 4 basic factors of production, which are known as factor inputs. What are those factor inputs? The first one is land. Land may be agricultural land that I've shown you here, or it could also mean a factory. So land does not, it means a factory building also. So land is the base. This is one of the basic factors of production with the help of which production takes place. Whenever a producer takes land, he has to pay rent on the land. So the cost incurred on land is rent. So land would mean, once again I repeat, land would mean both land as we see it as well as factory building. So even the buildings are included in land for which the producer has to pay a rent. Second is labor. We cannot visualize production without labor. Labor is an important aspect. So here we see the laborer working in a factory. So there could be laborers working in a field, in an agricultural field. When a producer hires labor, he has to pay the wages to them. So wage is the price paid for labor. It is included in the cost of production. The third factor input is capital. Capital could mean 2 things. One, the money required in any production process, the investment required in any production process, and it could also mean plant, equipment, machinery, etc., which is included here. So when we talk of capital, we are talking of the investment as well as the machines that are involved. You know, it's a common knowledge that when producers produce a commodity, they take loan from the banks. That becomes their capital. And they pay interest on the loan they have taken. So interest is the cost incurred on capital. And the last and very important aspect of one of the 4 main factors of production is enterprise, or it's also called organization. We may have land, we may have labor, we may have capital, we may have raw material, but we need the brains to run this business. They are the ones who take the risk. They carry out the process of production. So enterprise is the one of the 4 basic factors of production, and enterprise is undertaken with a motive to earn profit. So it's the cost of enterprise is the profit that is paid. So land gets rent, labor gets wages, capital gets interest, and enterprise gets profits. So these are the 4 basic factors of production. Even if we have all the 4 basic factors of production, it may not be possible to carry out production. Why? Because we need raw material also. We may have machines, but we need electricity to run the machine. We may have ideas about producing a particular commodity, but we need raw material for it. So apart from these factor inputs, we also have certain non-factor inputs. So we divide inputs into factor input that we studied, land, labor, capital, and enterprise, and non-factor inputs. Non-factor inputs include raw material, fuel, electricity, etc. With the help of both factor input and non-factor input, the process of production takes place. So both factor input and non-factor inputs are important in the process of production. Inputs can also be classified as fixed inputs and variable inputs. Fixed inputs. What are fixed inputs? Fixed inputs are those inputs which cannot be changed in a short period of time. Fixed inputs are those inputs which cannot be changed in a short period of time. For example, land, capital, enterprise. It's not possible to bring about changes in these factor inputs in a short period of time. So they will be considered fixed input because we can't change them in a short period of time. They require a minimum of time to bring changes in this output. Now that time would depend on the type of productive activity we are talking about, but certain amount of minimum time is required to bring changes in fixed input. Whereas variable inputs like labor, raw material, fuel, these can be changed as and when the producer needs to change it. If the producer wants to increase output, he would immediately bring about changes in the variable inputs, but it is not possible to bring changes in the fixed input. So variable inputs are those inputs which can be changed even in a very short period of time. For example, if a producer wants to produce more in, say, 2 days' time, he'll employ more labor. He'll buy more raw material and start to produce more and more. But he may not be able to change his machines. He may not be able to change his factory buildings in a short period of time. So these become fixed variables, and this becomes your the variable inputs. These are fixed inputs, and these are variable inputs of production. Both fixed inputs and variable inputs are equally important in the production process. What do you notice from the previous slide? If you see in the previous slide, we said factor input consisted of land, labor, capital, and enterprise. Out of these, land, capital, and enterprise are fixed inputs. They cannot be changed in a short period of time. But labor moves on to be a variable input. Like any other non-factor input, labor can be changed even in a short period of time. So it becomes a variable input. Now we are going to move on to a little complex topic, as we call it. We are going to talk about production function. What is production function? As you can see, it's written here, production function is a technological relationship between input and output, which shows the maximum output producible from various combinations of input. So when we talk of production function, we are talking of a technological relationship because production depends on technology. With an advanced technology, even with the same inputs, you can produce more. So production, how much can be produced, how much maximum can be produced is what we study in production function, and it is based on the technology of production. So how much input will be used to produce a certain amount of output? It depends on the technological relationship. Production function gives you the maximum output producible. It does not tell you the output that will be produced. It tells you the output that can be produced. So it is telling you maximum that is producible if you employ all the factors most efficiently. And if the technology is same, this is the maximum output that can be produced with various combinations of input. Let me give you a simple example. If this is the quantity of a commodity that can be produced, and K stands for capital and L stands for labor, let's assume this is machine. So for a given number of machine and a given number of labor, there'll be one quantity that will be produced. So the maximum that can be produced if all the labor is fully and efficiently employed. If we are taking 10 laborers here, they are efficiently working for the 8 hours they have been employed. If we are talking of, say, 4 machines, all the 4 machines are working efficiently. None of them has broken down or anything. So when all the factors are fully and efficiently utilized, then this is the output which will be produced. So for a given level of capital and a given level of labor, the quantity will be fixed. Now, this quantity is the maximum that can be produced, not what will be produced. Because what will be produced does not only depend on the number of units of machine employed or number of units of labor employed, but it is also dependent on how efficiently the units are working. So if they work most efficiently, then they can reach the maximum level of production. So a production function is a technological relationship between input and output, which shows the maximum output producible from various combinations of input. Now, production function can be of 2 types: short-run production function and long-run production function. Now, a short-run production function is one which explains the input-output relationship when changes are made in one input, keeping all other inputs constant. It means here changes are being made in one variable input and all other inputs are constant. As I told you, short-run is a time period which is less than the minimum time required to bring changes in the fixed factors of production. So in the short run, fixed factors cannot be changed, only variable factor can be changed. So short run production function shows how much change will come about in output if changes are made in one input, keeping all other inputs constant. So for example, if you keep land and capital constant and just change labor, how much will the output be affected? That is what we study in short-run production function. But in the long run, all the factors of production can be changed. Long run is a time period in which all the factors of production can be changed. So in the long run, we study in the long run production function, we explain the relationship between input and output when changes are made in all the inputs in the same proportion. So in the long run, we are bringing about changes in land, labor, capital, both fixed and variable inputs can be changed in the long run. So in the long run, the distinction between fixed and variable disappears. All factors become variable, no factor is fixed. So even if we are talking of, say, machinery building, factory building, in the long run, we can bring about a new factory, we can set up a new factory. So even that doesn't remain fixed. Enterprise management can also change. You can buy more machines, plant, equipment, machinery, everything can change in the long run. So no factor remains fixed in the long run. All factors become variable. I'm now giving you a numerical example of short-run production function and long-run production function to help you understand the concept better. Look at this numerical. We have taken land as the fixed factor, capital as a fixed factor, labor is a variable factor. But since this is a long run, in the long run, even land and capital, which are fixed factors, become variable. So we are changing land and capital also. But what do you see? We are changing them in the same proportion. What is the meaning of same proportion? Here, land, capital, and labor was 1:2:3. Here also, 2, 4, and 6, which again, if you divide by 2, you'll get 1:2:3. Here also 1:2:3. If you see the previous definition, I said, long-run production function is one which explains the input-output relationship when changes are made in all the inputs in the same proportion. So you see the factor proportions here are not changing. They remain the same, 1:2:3 in all the cases. So here we have doubled it. Each time you see we are doubling it. So we are increasing it by 100%. You see, output is increasing from 40, it became 100. It did not become 80, it became 100. It did not double, it was more than double. So the percentage increase in output was greater than percentage increase in input. This is increasing returns to scale, and this happens because of economies of scale. And in the second case, if you see, we increase it by 100%. This is increasing exactly by 100%. From 100, it became 200. This is known as constant returns to scale. And in these cases, you will see we are increasing this by 100%, doubling it. So it is increasing by 100%, but this is increasing by 50% only. So less than the percentage increase in output is less than percentage increase in input. So this is decreasing returns to scale. But in all the cases you see, since we are changing all the factors of production, we are increasing all of them, output goes on increasing. It does not decrease. The percentage increase can be more than 100%, can be 100%, can be less than 100%, but definitely it is increasing. This is a long run production function. Why? Because all the factors of production are being changed in the same proportion. And this is the maximum output which is producible. So if you use this combination, 1 unit of land, 2 units of capital, and 3 units of labor, 40 is the maximum output that you can produce with the same technology. Yes, if the technology advances, then probably you can produce more than that. But with the same technology, you can produce only 40 units if you choose this combination. If you choose this particular combination, 2, 4, 6, you will get maximum 100 units of output. If you choose this combination, 200 is the maximum output you can produce. So what do you observe here? For a given combination of inputs, the output is fixed, maximum output is fixed. Again, I would like to emphasize that when I say maximum output, it does not mean that this is the output which will be produced by the firm. Suppose by using this combination, the firm can produce 200 units, but the demand in the market is not of 200 units. So the firm will not produce 200 units, it will produce less than 200 units. So it depends on the firm, but this is the maximum output that can be produced. So for any given combination, there is one particular maximum output that the firm can choose to produce. If they're choosing this combination, this is the maximum they can produce. The firm can even choose to produce less than this. Now we move to short-run production function. In a short-run production function, what do you observe? First 2 columns, if you see, I haven't changed anything. Land, 1 unit. Capital, 3 units. So if, say, 1 factory building and 3 machines. I have not changed them. Why? Because land and capital, as I told you, are fixed factors and they cannot be changed in the short run, and we are talking about short-run production function. So naturally, land and capital cannot be changed. So they remain constant. Land and capital are constant. But what are we changing? We are changing labor. What is labor? Labor is a variable unit. So if the firm chooses to produce more, it can employ more labor. So you see, we had 1 land, 3 units of capital, but we did not employ any labor. Suppose one machine needed 1 labor, but we did not employ any laborer. So we could not produce anything. Total output was 0. Now we employ 1 laborer. There are 3 machines, they needed at least, but we employed only 1 laborer. So production started. We could produce, let's not pay attention to these ones in red. We'll go back to them later. So when we employed 1 unit of labor, we are able to produce 5 units of output with the same land and capital. With the same land and capital, when we make it 2, it becomes 12. Why does it not become 10? Or why does it become 12? We will discuss later. It's there in today's chapter itself. When we employ 3 units, total production becomes 21, even with the same capital and same amount of land. 4 units, it becomes 28. When we employ fifth unit, it remains on 28. It does not increase. Production does not increase. And when we employ 6 units, the production has increased. So it is quite possible that production changes with output. Now, before we go back to the previous slide, see what these total product, marginal product, and average product mean. Total product refers to the total output of good or service produced by employing a given amount of variable input, keeping employment of all other inputs constant. So total product is a total output. So what does total output mean? And if you look here, I'm saying total output of a good or service produced by employing a given amount of variable factor. We are employing a given amount of variable factor. What does it mean? If I say what is the total product in this table, you may not be able to say that. But if I say what is the total product when 2 units of factor is employed, you will immediately say 12. When 3 are employed, 21. So total product is discussed on the basis of given amount of variable factor employed, keeping the employment of all other inputs constant. Total product is the sum of marginal product. After doing marginal product, we'll go back to how it is. Then you have the concept of average product. It is total product, that is total output, divided by number of units of variable factor employed. You have marginal product, which is net addition to the output when an additional unit of variable factor is employed. So if 5 units of labor was producing this month, 6 units of labor is producing this month, what is the difference between the two? That is marginal product. We'll go back to the table. You see here, total product is 5. Average product is 5 divided by 1. Marginal product is 5 minus 0, 5. 12 minus 5, 7. So one additional unit of labor employed is adding so much to production. So that is what is reported in marginal product, net addition to total product when an additional unit of variable factor is employed. When you add the marginal product column, 5, you get 5. 5 plus 7, 12. 12 plus 9, 21. 21 plus 7, 8. So that's why I've said total product is sum of marginal product. So total product is obtained by adding together the marginal product. It is defined in terms of number of units of variable input employed. Average product refers to the output per unit of variable factor employed. So it is total product divided by the number of units of variable factor employed. If you want to obtain total product from average product, what do? You multiply average product with the number of units of variable factor employed. Marginal product is the net addition to output when an additional unit of variable factor is employed, keeping all other factors constant. You want to obtain marginal product, you get it from TP at nth level minus TP at n minus 1 level. So if you see, if you want to get marginal product here, 12 minus 5 will give you 7. 21 minus 12 will give you 9. That's how you calculate. Now, let's discuss the shape of total product curve. You see, total product is first increasing. See, the gap is 5, then it is 7, then it is 9. So gap is increasing. This is called increasing at an increasing rate. Total product first increases at an increasing rate. Then it increases, but at a diminishing rate. If you go back to the previous numerical, then it increases. See, the gap is decreasing, increases, but at a diminishing rate. And finally, it starts falling. So the total product curve is like this. This is the marginal and average product curve. marginal product first rises, becomes a maximum, then starts falling, goes down, and it can further go down, becomes 0 and negative. Average product increases, reaches a maximum, and then falls. There is a relationship between average and marginal product, which is very, very important and also very, very interesting. What is the relationship between them? When MP is rising and greater than AP, AP rises. When MP is falling but still greater than AP, AP continues to rise. When MP is equal to AP, AP is maximum. And when MP becomes less than AP, AP falls. Look at the previous figure. When MP is greater than AP, till here. See, when MP is greater than AP, AP is rising. When MP is equal to AP, the point of intersection, AP is maximum, average product is maximum. And when MP becomes less than AP, AP starts falling. The marginal becomes less than average, average starts falling. I'm going to explain this with the help of a very simple example, which all of you understand. Cricket is something which everyone in India understands, and innings, you know. So I'm talking in terms of batting average of a batsman. I'm not taking the name. It could be your favorite batsman. It could be Kohli, it could be Tendulkar, it could be Rohit Sharma, anybody you can take. So let's take an example of in the left-hand side corner, we have written innings over there. And second column is total runs scored by the batsman. Third column is average run. And fourth column is the marginal runs. And I just consider the table with me because it's not visible on the screen. Yeah, okay. So I can see the runs are. In the total runs, 1600 is the total runs scored by the batsman in 40 innings, right? In 40 innings, he scores 1600. So his average run is 40. So suppose we are taking the example of Kohli, Virat Kohli. In 41st innings, he scores 50. Now 50 is his marginal runs. His marginal is greater than his average. His average was 40. He scored 50. Marginal is greater than average. So you see the average starts increasing. Everybody understands that if Kohli goes on scoring more and more in every next inning, his average will go on increasing. So that's what I'm referring to here. So he scored 50, which is more than 40. So marginal is greater than average. Average increases. In the next innings, he scores a 60. So marginal runs are rising. You see, till here, marginal runs are rising. So he scores a 60. His total becomes 1650 plus 60. That's 1710. We divide it by 42. The average comes out to be 40.71. Again, you see the average is increasing by because the marginal runs are greater than his average. We move on to the next innings, innings or 43rd innings. He has scored 80 in that. So 1710 plus 80 makes it 1790 divided by 43, 41.62. Again, you see average is rising. So marginal runs are greater than average runs. Marginal runs are rising and greater than average runs. Average rises. Now marginal runs have started falling. But still, from 80 it has fallen and become 75. Total becomes 1865 divided by 44, 42.38. What do you observe? Although marginal is falling, average is still increasing. Why? 41.62 to 42.38. Why is it increasing? Because this falling marginal is still greater than the average. So you understand that in every next inning, even if his run scored in this inning is less than what he scored in the previous innings, if the run scored is greater than the average, his average will go on rising. But what happens in 45th inning? In 45th innings, he scores 40. Now 40 is less than the average. His average was 42.38 and he scored a 40. That means it is less than his average. When the marginal run scored by him is less than his average runs, the average will start falling. So it has become 42.33 from 42.38. In the next inning, he scores further less. He scores a 30. Total becomes 1935 divided by 46, 42.06. Further fall in average. Why? Because marginal is less than average. The next inning, he scores a 20. Total becomes 1955. 47 innings, 1955 divided by 47, it gives you 41.59. So if the marginal run scored by your favorite batsman is less than his average will fall. If the marginal run scored by your batsman is greater than the average will rise. And this is what we have spelled out in the relation here. When marginal product is rising and greater than average product rises. So if in each next inning he is scoring more and more than his average, then his average will rise. When marginal product is falling but still greater than average product continues to rise. That means even if the run scored starts falling, but it is still greater than his average runs will continue to rise. When marginal product is equal to average product is maximum. And when marginal product becomes less than average product starts falling. So in every next innings, your favorite batsman scores less than his average, then his average starts falling. This is the relationship which is explained with the help of this diagram also. So when marginal product is rising and greater than average rises. Even when marginal product is falling, but still greater than average product continues to rise. When marginal product is equal to average product is maximum. And when marginal product becomes less than average product starts falling. This is the relationship. I hope this chart is clear to you all. It's always very easy for us as Indians to understand the cricket average. So I'll explain this with the help of the cricket average. Now, what is the relationship between TP and MP, total product and marginal product? Now, you know, total product is the sum of marginal product. If you go on adding marginal product, you get total product. So if marginal product is rising, TP will increase at an increasing rate. So when MP is rising, TP will increase at an increasing rate. That is, the gap between every consecutive TP will rise, because that's nothing but marginal product. So if the gap is rising, TP will increase at an increasing rate. When marginal product is falling, but it is positive. It's falling, but it is positive. So TP will increase, but at a diminishing rate. You see the shape has changed. It has started increasing at a diminishing rate. This point K is known as point of inflection. Up till this point, the marginal product, the total product increases at an increasing rate. And after that, it starts increasing at a diminishing rate. So this is known as point of inflection. When marginal product is 0, total product is maximum. And marginal product becomes negative, total product starts to fall. This is the relationship between TP and MP. We are now going to discuss the relationship between TP and MP with the help of law of variable proportions. Law of variable proportions is also known as returns to a factor. Why returns to a factor? Because here we are going to change only one factor, keeping all other factors constant. So we will see what return we get to that factor. It's a short-run production function. So naturally, today we have discussed that in a short-run production function, we study only the relationship between input and output, where only one factor is variable, keeping all other factors constant. So it states that as the employment of only one factor is increased, keeping all other factors constant, MP first increases, leading to TP increasing at an increasing rate. So when all other factors are kept constant and one factor is varied, then first MP will increase at an increasing rate. First MP will increase, so TP will increase at an increasing rate. What does increasing rate mean? It means the gap between TP is increasing. Not only is TP increasing, but the gap between consecutive TP is also increasing. Then when MP starts declining, but it's still positive, not negative. So TP will increase, but at a diminishing rate. That means the values of TP will continue to increase, but the gap will reduce. So it increases at a diminishing rate. And finally, MP becomes negative. So TP starts falling. That is the relationship between TP and MP expressed with the help of law of variable proportions. Now I'll give you a tabular presentation of this. You can see in this table, these two columns are for fixed factors. They have been kept constant. 1 unit of land, 3 units of capital. And this is the labor, third column, that is the variable factor labor. So this is going to change. This is total product. We are not concerned here with average product, but I've given you average here. What we are concerned with is the marginal product, relationship between TP and MP. To see, in the beginning, on a given set of fixed factors, when you employ more and more of variable factor, your total product is increasing, right? And the gap between them is also increasing. The gap here is 5, here it is 7, here it is 9. So what do you observe? MP is 5, 7, 9. MP is increasing. So when MP is increasing, TP is increasing at an increasing rate till this point. So supposing 3 machines required 3 laborers. We have reached a point of 3 laborers. So that is the maximum marginal product we are getting here. After that, marginal products begins to decline. From 9, it became 7 to 0. So when marginal product is declining, total product is increasing from 21 to 28 to 30. But what do you see? The gap is decreasing. Yeah, the gap was 9. It now became 7, 2, and 0. So when marginal product is falling but positive, TP increases but at a diminishing rate. Total product is maximum when marginal product is 0. And when marginal product becomes negative, total product starts to fall. This relationship is explained through the law of variable proportion. In this law, we have 3 phases. This law is based on certain assumptions. I've just taken the most important assumption. It is a short run period of operation. Since we are keeping the fixed factors constant and changing only variable product, it is a short run production function. It will happen in the short run. In the long run, things can change. You can employ more labor, you can employ more capital, you can set up more factory buildings, but we are talking for short run production function. So it's a short run period of operation. So in this short run period, we are not able to bring about changes in the fixed factors. We are bringing changes only in the variable factor. State of technology is constant. That means there is no technological advancements. there is no change in technology. Technology remains constant. As I told you, if the technology advances, then with the same amount of labor, same amount of input, you can produce more. But here we are assuming the technology to be constant. All units of variable factor are homogeneous. If we are talking of labor, all of them are homogeneous. It's not that one labor is very efficient, the other one is not efficient. One can work, is very hardworking, the other is not hardworking. They all should be homogeneous. The variable factors should be homogeneous, so that the differences in them does not result in differences in output. If there is difference in output, that should be because of other factors, not because of changes in the variable factor. Factors of production are imperfect substitutes of each other. Labor cannot do the work of capital as well as the capital can do. It's like, if I give you an example, it might just seem funny to you, but it is a serious example. Like your accounts teacher and your economics teachers can substitute each other. So if one teacher is absent, maybe the accounts teacher is absent and the economics teacher comes to teach, she can teach, but not as well as your accounts teacher, because she is imperfect substitute. So similarly, land is an imperfect substitute of capital. Capital is an imperfect substitute of labor. Labor cannot be a good substitute for machine. The work that the capital can do, labor cannot do. So factors of production are imperfect substitutes of each other. So this law outlines 3 phases. Phase 1 is a phase of increasing returns to a factor. In this phase, MP increases as we employ more and more units of variable factor to a given set of fixed factors. MP increases, so TP increases at an increasing rate. And this comes to an end when MP is maximum. Let's go back to this. In this phase, as we go on employing more and more of variable factor on a given set of fixed factor, MP increases, so TP increases at an increasing rate, and this comes to an end when MP is maximum. So this is the end of the first stage. That's why I put it in pink so that it's visible. This is the end of the first stage. Now, why is it that MP increases in this? So if 1 unit of labor is giving you 5 units of output, 2 units of labor should give you 10 units. That's what mathematics tells you. But why is it that here MP is increasing? Second unit is giving you 7, third unit of labor gives you 9 units of output. Why is it that MP increases? Why is it that TP is increasing at an increasing rate? The reasons are fuller utilization of indivisible fixed factors. Machine that is used, for example, is a fixed factor which is not divisible. In the numerical example that I gave you, we have 3 machines which require 3 laborers. So when 1 is employed, when 0 is employed, none of the machines are being used. But when 1 laborer is employed, at least 1 machine has started working. When 2 are employed, 2 has started working. When 3 are employed, all the 3 machines have started working. So there is fuller and fuller utilization of fixed factors when you go on increasing the variable factor in the beginning. That's the reason why you get increasing returns. You get additional output, 5, 7, 9. That is because there is better utilization of fixed factor owing to employment of more and more of variable factors. So this is the first reason. Second is increased efficiency due to division of labor. Let me explain to you in terms of production of cotton cloth. Now, basic raw material for cotton cloth is the cotton balls. So if there is 1 laborer, he will be de-seeding the cotton balls, converting it into thread, weaving it into cloth. But if there are 4 laborers, one is just de-seeding the cotton, the other one is just making the thread, and the third one is weaving the cloth, fourth one to carry the products from one to the other place. Would that increase the efficiency? If there is only 1 labor doing everything, efficiency will be less. But when there is division of labor, work is divided between different laborers, efficiency increases, and hence the marginal product also increases. This is the second reason. And the third is optimum combination of factors. Now look at this. 3 machines required 3 laborers because each machine required 1. So in this phase, we are moving towards this optimum combination. This was the best combination of fixed and variable factor, 1:3:3. So here it was 1:3:0, 1:3:1, 1:3:2. So we are moving towards the optimum combination in the first stage. So marginal product goes on increasing. So these are the 3 reasons why this does not become from 5 to 10 to 15. It is from 5 to 12 to 21 because of these 3 reasons. Fuller utilization of indivisible fixed factors, increased efficiency due to division of labor, and optimum combination of factors. Second phase is phase of diminishing returns to a factor. In this phase, MP is falling, TP increases at a diminishing rate, comes to an end when MP is 0 and TP is maximum. Going back to the same table, in this phase, MP starts falling, TP increases but at a diminishing rate, comes to an end when MP is 0 and TP is maximum. Now, why does this take place? Because of imperfect factor substitutability. This I've already explained. You are increasing labor without bringing about changes in, say, machines, land, etc. So labor cannot do the work of machine. It's an imperfect substitute of machine. So labor is imperfect substitute for capital, as a result of which the marginal product starts falling. Then there is overutilization of fixed factor. 3 machines required only 3 laborers. You're going on employing 4, 5, 6 laborers. There is overutilization of the machine, which also brings down the marginal product. And in this phase, we are also moving away from the optimum combination. This was the optimum combination. You go on employing more and more, you are moving away from the optimum combination. That is why the MP starts falling. And third and the last phase of negative returns to factor, the third phase of the law of variable proportion is phase of negative returns to factor. Here MP becomes negative and TP starts falling. Now look at this diagram. Here MP has become negative and TP starts falling. So this is your third phase. This is your first phase where MP is rising and TP is increasing at an increasing rate, comes to an end when MP is maximum. From here to here, this is the second phase in which MP is falling, but TP is increasing at a diminishing rate. And after this, when MP becomes negative and TP starts falling, this becomes your third phase or phase of negative returns to a factor. This happens because of poor coordination between fixed and variable factor. The fixed and variable factors are able to work with each other. They are not able to coordinate. Have you heard too many cooks spoil the broth? The same thing happens, too many laborers. So there is very poor coordination between the fixed factors and the variable factors, which results in fall in marginal product to the negative side. And there is decrease in efficiency of variable factor. Too many laborers employed, too overcrowding in the factory, which leads to a decrease in efficiency of the variable factor. And the last one is the fixed factors are limited. The fixed factors are fixed. They have not been changed. So because of that, they have limitation. They can't work to the full efficiency. After the third, in this example, after the third unit, you go on employing more and more of labor to the same amount of machine. Machine is not able to work efficiency. That's the limitation of the fixed factor, which brings down the marginal product to the negative side and TP starts falling. This is all from my side. If you have questions, you can ask questions now.
All the viewers here, that the official streaming viewers of this program is being telecasted on our NCRT's YouTube official channel by the name of NCRT Official, and I can see there are many viewers who are watching us live. So now is the time when you can send your queries and questions and all your suggestions to us, and I will be certainly taking up all your questions and we'll be having a discussion with our experts. And here, Ms. Mishra, what I felt that the way you explained the chapter, then this production and cost, the minute examples you were giving, it revolves around us in our day-to-day life also. What would you say about this? So in this chapter, we need not go through to go so far. So this production and cost can be understood through our surroundings as well.
Yeah, exactly. Economics is a subject which surrounds us all the time. What we see around us is what we study in economics. Some people say it's a very dry subject, but I do not find it dry. Everything here is related to our life. Yes, there are a number of numericals and diagrams to understand, but this is a very, very interesting subject.
That is what I was trying to come on to, that economics, a subject which many students, when they opt in 11th and after some time they feel the subject is quite dry and these numericals are a little tedious task for them to perform. So are there any tips by you for our 11th standard students who will be, studying in this this chapter in this new academic year? So what are the tips they have to follow while solving numericals?
I just feel that the student should first of all come with an open mind. They should feel nice about the subject they are studying, because in 11th you are lucky enough to choose the subject you want to study. So first and foremost, they should take interest, relate economics to their everyday life. Even if it is a numerical that they are solving, relate it to their everyday life. They will find it very, very interesting. Otherwise, it becomes dry and boring. So I would suggest that, and I always believe that economics is a subject to be taught. If your teacher is good and if she can generate interest in it, you can go a long way. But I always tell the students, pay attention when your teacher is teaching you, because that's the crucial part of understanding economics and developing interest in it. It is not a self-study subject. After you are taught, you can study on your own, understand the concept, then it becomes very easy. So pay attention to what your teachers are doing. That's what I'll say. And just go through everything in detail and relate it to your life.
Right. Relating to the life is very easy when they can understand the concept. But yes, we have another 2-3 minutes left for this session to be ended, Ms. Mishra. So are there any tips by you in terms of the numbers which we are seeing on screen? So what are the tips to, solve these numericals, if I would ask?
Numerical, you need to do a lot of practice.
Practice, basically. Yes.
Yeah, practice. A lot of practice is required, and so much so that it becomes fun for you. I can only talk about my daughter, who was really very scared of mathematics, and when she had economics, and she would practice all numericals from all books, and to the extent that when she was writing her boards, they got really very difficult questions, and she was able to solve all of it, although she was really afraid of numbers. So you start enjoying it. If you practice all of it, you start enjoying it. So practice when it comes to numericals. Diagrams, you need to practice well. You need to understand. Most important is you understand the concept you're doing.
Right.
You cannot learn the concepts. You have to understand, and if you understand, you'll be able to do it.
Absolutely. Viewers, you cannot mug up all the concepts, and if in terms of numbers and numericals, indeed you have to practice. Then only you may solve it properly. And with all these tips, we come to the end of today's session. I thank today's expert who joined us for this wonderful economic session, Mrs. Seema Bharti Mishra. We thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
It was so wonderful to have you, and I would request and urge my viewers, keep on sending your suggestions and questions to us, and remain connected to PM eVidya to watch NCRT's resource material. Thank you. Namaskar.